I mean, look at me, I'm a dairy farmer, and I'm helping a guy in Myanmar. I mean, it isn't about a lot of resources, and it isn't about being somebody. It's about being available. And when you're available, God opens your eyes to what you can do.
Okay, stir that up real good with your big spoon.
Well, it's called Crimea now, where our ministry is. And Brad and I just went in December, and it was quite a trip. We had to get expensive visas. It's a big question mark. We don't know if, number one, if we can travel, and secondly, how we're going to fund, how are we going to get money to them. Our banking sanctions are not allowing us to wire money anymore like we used to. So our ministry is really changing in Ukraine. We are not going into the orphanages. We're not permitted to go in. Our workers are afraid of the government, and we don't know where the kids have gone. We know that some have been transported to other areas of the Crimea, but some are not there. Some have gone to Russia. So it's not that we don't want to be there. We would love to stay, but the government and local officials have made it very difficult for us to do that. So I'm thankful that we've had all these years to work in Ukraine, even though it's closing, but many children were helped.
Well, I think what's really kind of interesting, before Russia even entered the Crimea, for the last so many years, God's been opening our eyes to other ministries around the world.
Sri Lanka is a very poor country. They have the caste system, of course, and the children that are in the homes are, of course, of the lower caste. They're from the slums, and they don't have anybody to take care of them. Roheen, on the other hand, goes into the slums and she takes the kids out, and even some of the children that are in the homes have extended family that are still in the slums. So she goes with them to visit their families, and they're trying to convert the families of these children as well to Christianity. She teaches these children to pray for everything. They pray for everything. They fall on their knees and they pray. And I think sometimes we kind of lose sight that God is using us as His hands and feet.
You can see in the buildings if you go in at night, and they're just little like mud huts, just little row huts, and there's no doors on the openings. And a lot of times you'll see just a board across the door, like we would put up like a dog gate. Mm-hmm. And there'll be lots of little children hanging over that board, and with nothing on, naked, filthy. They say a lot of these little children, if little girls 8 and 9 and 10 years old, if they're left alone in these rooms while their mother is out on the street at night, child abuse and rape is very commonplace. Most of these children have experienced sexual abuse. She goes into that environment and takes these children out and puts them in home where they're educated.
One of the little girls talked about how she had lost her family in the tsunami and that she felt like she was lost. And when Roheen found her and brought her in, that she felt like this was her forever family, and that now she knew God, where before she was Muslim.
They took us to where the boys were living. And during the rainy season, they have no sanitary sewers. They have no storm sewers on the street. The water just runs. So this particular house that we went to, when the rainy season came, the water would get 3 and 4 feet up the wall. And then when the water's receded, it's so hot and it's so humid that it never really dried out. It just molded over. There was black mold growing up the wall. Now the boys have a nice new house. We've raised funding. Hopeful Hearts did a special drive. People gave over and above their regular giving. They don't live in that mold-filled place anymore. We can celebrate that new house. We can celebrate the second floor that was built onto the girls' home. We can see how their lives are improving both physically and spiritually. And the physical, I guess, is not as important as the spiritual, but it sure is when you're living in the rainy season.
Haiti is a very dark country, but I see some improvement over the 4 times that I've been there, the roads especially, so the government is trying to help these people.
The location of this orphanage, it's up on a hill, and it's a very rocky and barren area, and just a couple of wooden buildings. There is another building that they're working on for the girls that's actually made of concrete that's nicer. They really need mattresses very badly. So that's one of the first things that we're doing is replacing those mattresses so they have a good place to lay their head down. Literally, they don't have running water. There's no electricity. They're cooking on an open fire.
Well, Global Outreach is who we've partnered with, and that's what Hopeful Hearts has been doing is best lately, is partnering with others that are on the ground. El Bethel is the name of our orphanage, and Pastor and Madam Luckner run it. They're the parents. Well, there's 35 actually living in the orphanage.
Each morning we had a vacation Bible school lesson with the kids, and we had crafts.
And this Bible study that we took them was perfect, I think, for them. We went to Ephesians, and we did the armor of God. And we taught these kids that when they step foot outside that orphanage, that they need to wear that armor of God at all times. We took them some new instruments. These children already have some musical talents. But the more accomplished ones, we had a gentleman take them and actually form a band and taught them some musical talents and just improved. And he said by the time we left that they were as good as an average junior high band in America. The partnership is one that we can trust. We spent one morning for 2 or 3 hours feeding the elderly because they're sort of orphaned. A lot of times they're left behind with no families to take care of them. We just see the love of Christ in this ministry.
I celebrate especially in Myanmar when you think that there are only 1% of the people know and believe in Jesus. They come from a Hindu and Buddhist background, and I think we are, as an organization, our main focus is to bring spiritual development of Christianity to children around the world.
Our friends and partners at Hopeful Hearts Foundation Boards, we just would like to say a big thank you for supporting us in many ways so that we can help so many children in Myanmar. It's really a great blessing for us to help you so that we can support and we can help the children so that many children can have a safe shelter we call home, and many children can have enough food and many children can get education.
It's very exciting to visit someone that is working hard to develop an income for themselves. They're not entitled. They don't feel entitled. They want to help themselves.
The kids actually make 400 bricks before breakfast. So they get up, they make 400 bricks, and then go have breakfast. You don't find that too many places.
Samuel contacted Bob after that first initial trip there and said, we want to milk cows, and we want to know if Hopeful Hearts can help. So he said, well, I know a guy and I'll talk to him.
We've been able to loan Samuel money to start this venture, and we're so happy to report that he is now starting to pay us back. It's a no-interest loan, but it is a loan.
My children were givers in this. My kids, they help me milk cows at home, and they earn money too, and they decide what they want to do, and they love giving animals. It's, because that's their world. They live with animals. So they were concerned about this being a loan because they didn't want it to be a burden on anybody. They wanted it to be a blessing. And then I got to explaining it to them. I said, it's a double blessing, and probably even more so, because the money you give, it will flow into Samuel's dairy, and then it will flow back out, and then it's going to flow into another need inside of Myanmar. So it's like you're getting double use out of your money.
Hello, this is Jeremy from Myanmar, and I send greetings to you in the name of Jesus Christ. I just want to express our thanks to the supporter and the one who helped the work we are undertaking here. It is a great privilege to be partner with you for this ministry.
It was really a recommendation from Samuel Thang. They went to seminary together, and he knew Jeremy. He knew he was a strong Christian, and he really wants to do the same type of ministry that Samuel does, but had no permanent supporters to do it. So now we support him, and we took blessing bags to his children this year, which was the first time that many of them had ever received a Christmas present.
Your love means lives. Your love means education. And your love means salvations to our people.
Samuel, good morning.
Good morning.
Say
goodbye. Bye-bye.
We just have one ministry now at the Bethany Children's Home. Cares for about 100 girls, and it's a wonderful Christian place, and John Matthew has run that home and created that home for many years, and God has just opened the door for another type of ministry in India. The girls you have to pay a dowry for, and it becomes so expensive that they literally throw these children away.
The one they told us about, they have these what they call ash pans, where I guess when they have fires, they put these dustbin things in there. I guess it's had their version of recycle. And there was a night watchman that saw a pack of village dogs, and they were dragging something. And they had gotten this little girl out of the dustbin, and he was able to retrieve her, and one of these ministries took her in. But she was left on the side of the road for a dog to find.
Cuba is just unbelievable, the opportunity that has been put in our lap. I was there in November and just felt like I needed to ask the government if we could visit an orphanage. And they said, nobody has ever visited a state-run orphanage since Castro came in office. But we think that we'd like to show you. So there were 6 of us that went. We spent time with the boys and girls. They were very open and happy that we were there. We saw how they lived, and they had some requests for us, so we're buying some appliances for their kitchen, and they actually were delivered last week. So we think that there is a chance that we could do a VBS in Cuba and invite these children to come. I celebrate the hope that we're bringing and the opportunities that God has just put right in our lap.
You celebrate the fact that you're helping these people. They're the ones that God put in your circle.
We have to have people go with us. We can't do it all. We need teams to go and share life stories, share what the Bible means to them, what the Lord means to them, and just to encourage children. They're lost. They have been displaced. They've lost their families, but they have so much hope when we're there.
I celebrate 13 years of really hard work, of seeing children that have gone from just marginal existence to now having the opportunity for not only an education, but continued education. Children that are now able to share their faith with you, children that we have made faith and we have made Jesus Christ something real in their life, something to be celebrated. There are people around the world today that their lives and their futures and the future of their families and their children are totally different than they would have been 13 years ago if it hadn't been for Hopeful Hearts. There are girls now that know how to sew and cut hair, and boys that can repair motorcycles. There's the Dairy Project. There's just things all over the world that because of this little group of people in Louisville, it has changed these people's lives forever. And that's what I celebrate.
Bye.